Let's assume that parent-teacher conferences have already passed. It has been a couple of days after. We had some that were pretty great and some that were a little dicey, but they are over. In this video, we're going to talk what happens next, because the parent-teacher conference process doesn't end when the last parent-teacher conference takes place. In our previous videos, we talked about what is needed to set ourselves up for success when leading parent-teacher conferences. We also talked about what it takes to facilitate a successful conference and some tools that we can use to prepare and to facilitate the conferences. In this video, we're going to talk about what happens after the conferences. And some things that we can do to make sure that we are growing as educators, such as reflecting on what happened, doing equity audits, and continuing to build relationships with families. So when we talk about following up on the conferences, it just means that we want to continue building that relationship to ensure that we have a true academic partnership. So the follow-up is with our families, and so I'll talk about a couple of different resources we have around that, on how to follow up with families who attended and who were unable to attend, as well as how to check in on the progress towards the co-constructed goals. But as important, I want to go to that first point and talk about how to reflect on the conferences. So you don't need a specific tool for this, but if you have one, share it with us. I think the biggest thing to see as you're looking through the names of your students, of the families who attended and who were unable to attend, is to look for trends. I think that is the biggest thing that we can see, because we have systems that are not intentionally, they have been created to not make certain things accessible to folks. So I think as you look through the list, think about are the students, all the students who had families not attend parent-teacher conference, are they all have English as their second language? Do they all have to commute by bus or metro? Because that has been a little hard these days. Are the families that have not attended typically students who also have attendance issues, or are the students whose families did not attend, are they all performing similarly, or what does the frequency of communication has been like with those families? So just going in and looking for trends, and it will be useful to have another buddy at your school who probably works with the same families, to see if they're able to they have been able to communicate with those families, or if they had families attend their conferences. This is a good time to just reflect on that, and then also think of like the practices that could help overcome the obstacles and challenges that these families might face or might have faced when attending parent-teacher conferences. All right. So I want to share now a few resources that we have that will help you follow up with families. Again, we are in DCPS Way in the Family and Community Engagement folder, and that's where you'll find all the resources from this training. And so we're talking about following up. So I want to share with you this follow-up tips and templates. It looks like this. It is a short and sweet toolkit that walks through different touch points with families who attended parent-teacher conferences. So the first is a thank you note. Pretty straightforward. We want to make sure that we're thanking families for making the time to come to parent-teacher conferences. This doesn't have anything to be academic. We just want to say thank you and maybe remind the families of the resources that you provided during the parent-teacher conference. This could be a text message because it's short and sweet and can be reproduced. It could be an email. If you have like a virtual classroom, it could just be a banner on that, or your school can post something on their social media to share with families. There's also a sample note here to give you an idea of how you could craft something like this. I would just copy paste, but that's me. So something quick just to thank them and honor that they came and attended. The next follow-up to do with families is updating on the goals. So the thank you note can be 1 to 2 weeks after the parent-teacher conference to keep that relationship building going. The goal updates can be much later. They could be sent between 4 to 6 weeks from parent-teacher conferences. And mainly we want to make sure that we are providing an update on the goal. We are reminding the family about the resource and the strategy that we shared with them so that they're using it at home. And we want to encourage that two-way communication. So the same way that we're sending out information, we want to receive information. This could be a hard copy of questions, a survey, it could be a progress report, it could be anything as long as it's talking about the goal. And right here, this is why this is a Word and not a PDF. You can copy paste this email and adapt it to fit your needs. We also want to talk about celebrations. That's another way of following up with families. So right now we don't have parent-teacher conferences very frequent in the district, but if your school has more touch points with families, or if there is a celebratory event at the end of the quarter to celebrate students who did well, or if you want to support your school in organizing an event to support students who made progress towards their goal, it's important to communicate that with families and to make note of it. You can send some text messages, you can send certificates, anything that connects the family back to the conversation you had during parent-teacher conferences. And here are some more ideas and a few key reminders. Again, this toolkit is in our DCPSY. You can read it and go into more detail. The main takeaway is that communication with family should be ongoing. And the parent-teacher conference that you had is very important, and therefore there should be more touch points around that conversation with the family. The next resource I want to share with you is a wellness check. So the one that we just talked about is for families who attended the parent-teacher conference. Now, there might be some families who were not able to attend. We are living through some hard times, so compassion is really important to practice. And we don't know what's going on with, all of our students. So it's important to ask and see. And so this document comes from Flamboyant. It's a script on how to make a wellness call. It walks you through framing the purpose. This is not in any way academic. It's just to make sure that families are doing okay. Because if there are urgent needs like food insecurity or a potential of experiencing homelessness, for a lot of families, that takes precedence. So this is just to check in to see if there is anything that the school and the school community can do to support this family. And we know those conversations can be a little awkward and a little bit uncomfortable. So this gives you a script. It gives you the language to frame the purpose, questions to ask to check on people, asking about immediate needs, and anything to that's going on at home or in school with learning that then we can tackle together. So this resource is there for you to reach out to families who were unable to attend. All right, so we talked about what happens after parent-teacher conferences. We talked about reflection time and reaching out to families. So this is a recommended timeline of when this thing should take place after the conferences. So here you see a list of tasks and when is the recommended time to do that outreach. So connecting with families who express unmet or urgent needs is really important. So that should be elevated to your administrator and or a school leader that then can help support find those resources for the families. And then you can look at the remaining of the tasks and see how it aligns to the work that you're doing and how it aligns to the progress that your students are making. Having successful parent-teacher conferences can be extremely beneficial to student growth and student success. And so I hope that this video provided you with the information, the tools, resources, tips that are needed for you to prepare for the conferences in a way that is useful to you and to your families, facilitate conferences that are inclusive and that result in co-constructed goals, and that you have effective tools to do follow-up with families who attended and did not attend conferences, and that I hope that the information that you got from your conferences helps you reflect on how to improve as an educator. Finally, I wanted to share one last resource with you. We have this resource here, which is a resource bank of everything that we talked about in this training. As you can see, it has the training deck, the slides, in case you want to refer to them again. It has a academic partnering toolkit for educators from Flamboyant. This is a very strong resource and I highly recommend it. And then it has a breakdown of the different videos. So our first video was preparing for conferences, and it gives you like a quick outline and a list of resources that you can use. Same for our second video, and then same for this one. And finally, I want to thank you for attending this training and for engaging in the different activities throughout the video. We really look forward to reviewing your responses and your feedback. If you want to learn more about the work that the family engagement team does, you can get in contact through any of these ways and see the work that we're doing. This is also a place where we will share more information on opportunities and tools to become a family engagement champion. So stay tuned.